To the lower left hand corner of your screen, there's something on this trunk here that I've been after for several years now, to be honest. It's several years since I last saw a female moth of this type, and that's a female moth without wings. On this trunk is something that I've been after showing you and showing on this channel for a couple of years now, and indeed it's several years since I've seen an example of what I'm going to show you and what is in the bottom left hand corner of your television or phone screen. She's there. This is a wingless female moth, and the species in question here is dotted border. Dotted border is one of several early flying species that fly in the sort of late winter, very early spring period, in which the females, for some reason, are wingless. Dotted border here, the females have vestigial wings, so all four wings are there. The two forewings and the hind wings are all there. It's just that they're only limited, they're only vestigial wings. If you've ever tried to rear moths and have hatched a moth out to the chrysalis, and for some reason it remains crippled and the wings don't expand, that's pretty much what these females look like. And there are female moths which have wings even more vestigial and reduced than female dotted borders here. I came to try and find one of these and one of a number of species, the mottled umber and scarce umber and winter moth and northern winter moth, at a site just across the road from where I am here. And I've tried several times and been unsuccessful several times too. Today though, I've finally found one. And these aren't the easiest of things to find, I must admit. The best way to find wingless females of those moths that fly unbelievably early in the year is to come out, leave your television screens behind, come out at dusk armed with a good torch and examine the trunks of trees for these females ascending the trunks after having hatched sometime during the afternoon, which is presumably when this one did. As you can probably gather, wingless female moths aren't the easiest of moths to find. One of the big problems is that most of them feed on oak, and the fissured bark of oak and the various sort of textures and colours of oak, especially when draped with moss like this, makes them incredibly difficult to see even in good daylight. Coming out on an evening as the skies darken during that first hour after dusk is without doubt the best way to find wingless female moths. And you need a good torch, and even then you're relying on movement. You'll be surprised at, even very early in the year, how many invertebrates are actually out and about and become active on the trunks of trees after dark. And these females, as I mentioned, they will hatch during the afternoon, spend the rest of that afternoon somewhere in the lower regions of the trunks of oaks, and then at dusk will start to climb the trunks, and it's that climbing and movement that makes them easier to spot. They can appear quite spider-like really, especially the winter moths, in which the females are smaller. So not the easiest of insects these to find. So, dotted border, the female, not the easiest of insects or moths to find. They are common, probably common across most of the UK, as much as I know, but They will almost certainly also be under-recorded due to the fact that many people don't start running their traps until the weather really starts to warm up later in the spring. And so the current known distribution in any county is probably, or will show, that limitation of recorder bias. But I do have this species on my garden list, only the once, and so in the vicinity of oaks there's every chance that you could get dotted border. But more typically it's found in woodland, and found in woodland before there are leaves on the trees. And seeing the wingless female of these early flying moths is something that probably not many mothers have ever seen. It takes a bit of effort, because unless one's got its walking boots on, it's never going to be attracted to an MV light.